That flexibility gives you the power to choose the best transfer partner based on where you want to go and what kind of redemption gives you the most value. You can adapt them to whatever travel plan you have in mind. On the other hand, fixed points like Delta Sky Miles are tied to one specific airline or hotel program. While you can still get good value, you're more limited in how you can use them. You're essentially locked into that one ecosystem, which can sometimes mean less flexibility and fewer options. So for listeners, having flexible points is generally more valuable because you get to pick the best possible redemption. It gives you that freedom to go where you want, when you want, and get the most value out of your points. It's all about keeping your options open and maximizing your rewards.
Nice. And listeners might get their first credit card, in this example, the Chase Sapphire Preferred, and then they might think, oh, that was easy. I got this big welcome offer, so now can I get more? And usually with Chase, I recommend waiting 60 to 90 days in between cards. I've seen data points of people getting shut down for higher speeds than that. And just getting started, usually the recommendation is to start small anyway, to learn what's going on, learn how to use these points, see how your card works, and not get so overwhelmed early on. So after the first card, why should they consider getting even more cards rather than just keeping the spend on that same card?
Yeah, that's a great point and a really good piece of advice. Once someone gets that first big welcome bonus and they get a feel for how things work, it's natural to think, hey, can I do this again? And the answer is yes, but with a little bit of pacing like you mentioned. Usually waiting 60 to 90 days between new cards so you don't trigger any alarms at the bank. Now, why consider getting more cards instead of just sticking with one? Each new card can come with its own big welcome bonus, and that means more points and more opportunities to travel for free. It also lets you diversify and get different types of rewards and access various benefits like travel credits, lounge access, or other perks. So by slowly adding more cards over time, you're building a bigger toolkit of rewards and giving yourself even more ways to save on travel. Plus, it's just a lot of fun to keep unlocking those new bonuses and seeing where they can take you.
I've been playing the game Baldur's Gate 3 recently, and I see the miles and points space very much like a video game, that over time you're getting more cards, more statuses, you're leveling up, you have many cards that have different bonuses depending on how you use them. I go to a grocery store and I could use a card that gives me 4 times membership rewards points, the Amex Gold card, rather than just using the Chase Sapphire Preferred that would get 1x on grocery, at least in person. So leveling up over time with more cards, more tools in your kit, I have a lot of fun with this and have been doing it for quite a time and see those parallels between video games and miles and points.
Absolutely. I love that analogy. It really is like a real-life RPG where you're collecting different gear in the form of credit cards, leveling up your statuses, and unlocking new abilities, like bonus categories or lounge access. Just like in a video game, you're figuring out the best strategy for each scenario, whether it's using your Amex Gold for groceries to get 4x points instead of just 1x, or using a different card for travel. And like you said, over time, you build this whole arsenal of cards and perks, and it becomes a really fun and rewarding game. Each new card helps you get even more value and unlock new travel opportunities. So it's a perfect parallel, and it makes the whole points and miles hobby feel like an adventure. Definitely keep having fun with it.